Hello guys, it's Daniels again, and this time around I'm going to be speaking on a subtopic that I've decided to call elocution in contemporary music. What this just means is pronunciation methodology, okay, how you pronounce while singing a contemporary song, by doing a contemporary music. Now, by contemporary, once it's not a jazz piece, once it's not a classical piece, something urban, something, the kind of songs, the kind of styles we do these days, okay? It may vary, how do you pronounce, how to pronounce appropriately, how to pronounce correctly. A lot of vocalists don't pay attention to, this is something a lot of vocalists don't pay attention to. You hardly find a vocalist go to a finishing school or go revise the vowel sounds, that the person might have been taught in the secondary school, diphthongs, triphthongs. When you even study people who sing, we're supposed to listen for the way they speak, especially if it's not one's native language. Now, of course, it's also necessary that is also done for native songs. If you go somewhere and then they are singing their dialectical song, it's good as a vocalist to pay some attention to how they pronounce some words. Okay, a typical the attention we're supposed to pay to our lyrics it should be as much as a broadcaster would a manuscript that he or she is going to broadcast. You've got to look at it. You've got to look at it. If there are words that you are not very conversant with, you're supposed to look it up. You're supposed to know how to correctly pronounce it, so that you don't cause a distraction to somebody who is supposed to enjoy the musical piece you're eventually presenting. It is that demanding. This art is that demanding, and people all over the world that have taken their time to smoothen the way they pronounce words, have an edge. They have an edge. At least they cause less distraction through that in their administration, in their presentations. So vocalist is something vocalists are supposed to do. Once in a while, you're supposed to look up the root pronunciations for vowel sounds, for diphthongs. Diphthongs are obviously, have a combination of two vowel sounds in it. For instance, like boy, or and e, okay? And then we also have three, we have triphthongs too. You're supposed to look up, you're supposed to pay attention to each of these things, and then once in a while, revise these things, revise the word components that fall under each of these categories, to keep us reminded of how we're supposed to pronounce. Now, if there ever come a word that in a song that you're not conversant with, make sure it's when you study the lyrics ahead. That's when you'll be able to notice this ahead. That's not when you are singing it. You notice that ahead, and then you can look up the meaning. You can look up the phonetical interpretation of such words, as many as you are not very conversant with pronouncing. So once in a while we should do this. Once in a while, I encourage us to have trainings and retrainings in this area, because we can't sing without speaking. Speaking is a component of singing. Speaking is a component of singing. It's just that we are, as it were, speaking into a melody. Okay, so if you're able to perfect the art of speaking, it helps our singing art ultimately. Especially for those of us shooting for international stages, shooting for global platforms, it's good we pay attention to this. I can't say this enough about one of my friends who had perfected a particular song and then had to go to an African country to sing a core Nigerian native song. Obviously, the person lost the audience because they weren't paying attention. They could not interpret that. They could not. That it was sounding very strange to them. Okay, so I encourage us once in every while to take some time out to revise the basic components that would aid our speaking and, of course, ultimately our singing art. All right. That will be all for this module. That will be all for this episode. I encourage those who have core trainings in phonetics to kindly let us know, to kindly comment on some of these things. I believe it's going to help us, to help shape, to help validate what we are putting out, and it will also help to correct us where we are erring. Our intention is just to do the best we can to educate a musician out there, to equip a musician out there about the need to pronounce correctly and how that ultimately impacts positively on the singing art. We hope to present some other snippets after now to impact our dear viewers. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.